in essence, a lot of the issues people have with God is not actually with God, it's with people.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, that's
And I think
yeah.
we need to be able to differentiate the two because, and again, like when pastors mess up, I think was your faith and hope in your leader or was it in God? Yeah, because there are flawed beings, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't hold them to account. But it's like if I'm your pastor and I do a madness, oh yeah, bung God. God had nothing to do with the madness. It was just that individual. And again, bad news always spread faster than good news. There are a million churches doing brilliant stuff. There's always the extreme ones or the odd ones that get the headlines.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
No, bless you.
Oh, yeah, we just cut it out.
See what I don't understand? I just don't get the liquor thing.
What do you mean?
Like, obviously, we get into another topic in a minute, but I just don't get like how liquor makes you like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of us in this room here. Liquor can make us all do different things, but I just never get how it makes you so unruly and restless.
Some people are going through stuff, bro.
No, I get it, but it's like, for example, but you, man, can't tell me of a time you've ever seen me drunk and I'll be like, "Hey, say what, yeah?"
Yeah, but think about how it affects you. It affects most people differently.
No, but I'm saying,
yeah, but think about the liquor that you drink as well.
No, but there's been times when, look at the time when in Barcelona I was plastered. I wasn't shouting at anybody. I was just gone.
But
my legs stopped working.
But you're not boisterous anyway.
But that's my point.
Well,
exactly.
some people ain't boisterous,
exactly.
bro. But the liquor hits them. Like I remember one time, I got a funny story. I remember one time, yeah, there was one sweet one that my boy was chatting to, yeah, but it was like he only ever saw it out. Like they weren't engaging in like DMs too tough for it to be like, let's go on a date. There's more time when he saw it out, you could tell that she found him attractive and he found her attractive, and then they would like have a little vibe. And then by the end of the night, it would just be like, okay, cool, had a great time, go home, and till next time. So one time she's come to the event, but she's gone for pre-drinks with her girls. I think it was one of her girls' birthday. Beforehand, she's come to the rave, plastered. Like, it's turned him off. He's like, bruv, what is this? I said, just let her sit down in our section. She'll be cool, whatever. So he's vibes and whatever. He's looked over, yeah. She's basically got her phone in her hand and she's talking to one Don that looks like his uncle. And it immediately put him off. He said, brother, look at me, bro. Look at who she's talking to. Is she taking the... He was so fuming. Because now he's thinking, wait, I've been biding my time and like trying to take my time with her, and it's like she can just get drunk like this and start moving mad. Nah, not interested. From that day, he was just like, you know what? I mean, like, you're attractive and all that, yeah, but I'm not interested.
What's your
I'm not interested. I gotta just bow
I'm gonna
out.
say to people, if you know you're a bad drinker, or you know what I mean, stay home. You know what I mean?
I said stay home, you know.
I drink more at home now. I drink more in, you know what I mean, confined environments than outside, because I know when the liquor hits me. So, you know what I mean? You're like, I know what I'm like if I drink. You know what I mean? Not that I'm
Yeah, but you're
crazy,
self-aware though.
Exactly, which
Some
is why I
people
stay
aren't.
home. But that's what I'm saying. For a lot of people, they don't understand. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, people that get drunk and start kicking stuff and stuff, just stay home. Drink more at home, or
but
drink less.
No,
yeah,
but
but
you're
that's like white
forgetting.
brothers in my uni used to do mad things like, I told you, man will go out, like them man will go out, man go to bed, man wake up, there's a fucking traffic cone in the kitchen. Bro. What are you doing, bro?
Let's stop the phone box.
But a whole like the triangle big thing, like. Oh, fucking had an amazing night last night. And fucking me and the lads, fucking brother. Like my amazing night is trying to bag a babes, catching a wine, getting a number. Your amazing night is stealing a road sign
Or a manhole cover, you
brother.
know?
Are you sick in your head? And it's in the kitchen. Why is it in the? Do you know what I'm saying? But like you're speaking like to the wrong people, bro. Like
But do you realise that sometimes people are just not going to understand what you're saying?
yeah.
Like
From different cultures,
but
bro.
with the pod, I feel like because you have a pod and you put it out there, you feel like you're talking to everyone. No, there's some people I'm not talking to. Like it can't be you I'm talking to.
I'm talking to you, but you're mad.
No, you also
I'm
got to
talking to you,
understand.
but you're mad.
You also got to understand that some people aren't just on drink. You know what I mean? And so let me just say, like I said, you know,
but these people
They've
were on
seasoned-
Jaeger.
they've
I've
seasoned their
hung out and, you know what I mean? Man slept, you know, slapped Ket on the table, bro. And you're like, go sleep.
Nah, but these man is Jaeger Masters, Bob. Was it Jaeger Masters
Jaeger
and what?
Jaeger bomb.
Jaeger bombs. That's all it was, bro.
Nah, bro, they were
What, there's Jaeger bombs? That's what
You-
that's-
Brother, because they were £1 each.
Marvin, you
Man had 30 of them. Obviously, it's like crack.
You
No,
Jaeger
it's
Masters
not,
like crack,
listen,
bro.
it's not joking, you know. One time I went Cardiff, yeah, and I said to, I think it was me, my boy, and 2 girls, yeah. So I've gone to the bar and I've said, yo, big man, let me get 8 Jaeger bombs and 4 drinks. So we're gonna do the shots at the bar, the Jaeger bombs, and then we're gonna go walk off with our drinks. I gave him a tenner. Man gave me £2 change. I said, what? I said, did you get my order right? I bought 12 drinks for £8.
In them days, when I was in uni, brother, listen, I used to get with bare money just for the sake of it. I will bring the money out and I'll remember.
you go home with the money.
Because I'm thinking I'm in London, because London prices, like, that's when like it was like, you go to West End to a rave, whatever, so you spend money in it. Like, brother, it's cheap.
Hey, there's a bar in, I don't want to say where, but you don't know what I'm talking about, yeah. A bottle of Henny's £450. Brother. A bottle of Henny in that club is £450.
That's like West End prices though, isn't it?
The club thinks it's borderline West End.
Yeah, I hear it still.
£450,
Henny.
brother.
Yeah.
I've never tasted any Henny that's worth $4.50. You can, you know what I mean? You can mix it with whatever you
Bro,
like.
220,
$4.50 for a bottle.
$250 max.
Because even when I go,
$450.
even when I've been central, like even central, like, okay, Leicester Square, you know what I mean? Bottle of, a bottle of Henny for me, there's $2.50, $2.60. Even then, I still think that's a bit mad. You know what I
I
mean?
ain't buying no bottle for
But the one
$2.50.
time Marv came to one of my parties, yeah.
No, but that's central. You know, you're in the heart of central, Marvin. You're like, cool.
They can
I
keep
get.
it.
I'm not gonna say the venue, but I get 25% off. Yeah, so that's why for me it's not.
I already know what you're talking about already.
It's not even bad. So man, get the 25% off. Cool, but $4.50 for
Brother,
Hennessy.
I was for a party the other day. Marv came here, and when Marv walked, Marv, Loons, Freshco, a couple other men came here. As soon as they came, they're like, "Yo, Taze, I want a bottle." I said, "Yeah, bottles are £60."
No.
How much was bottles that day?
No, I didn't say the bottle wasn't that. I didn't want a bottle. I was
What, big-
chilling and there were bottles around. I'm like, rah, okay, cool. Then Taze was like, do you want a drink? I said, yeah. I said, it's a couple babes in here though. I wanted a bottle. Taze said, £60 or £50. I said, what? Before Taser turned around, you know them cartoons? He turned around, my hat was in the air. Then it was, pew! I came back, I had to come back from my hat and grab it. I was by the bar immediately. I said, brother, which bottle here is 60?
I thought it was house, like the house liquor. He's like, no, we got Hennessy, Cavossier. I said, bro, you don't even know what you're doing to me.
Man, did you steal these bottles, bro? 'Cause
Oh, he
we
just,
used to-
you know, there's some venues you can get, yeah, where they don't move like West End. To them, it's just like, I'm just trying to get rid of bottles.
But it's still double markup though, roughly.
Yeah.
It depends, but it also it's like the one we did. You remember we've said this before. It's in Covent Garden. It's L.
Yeah.
You know that one. The bottles there. The prices were. You know what I mean? That's when I was with the babes, and the man went over to the babes, and he's like, "Whatever he bought you, I can buy you 10 of those." And like, buy you a bottle, and he's like, "I'll buy you a bottle." Text me, what are we drinking? Man, walk past the table. I actually do have a. You know when people have skits for their albums. You know what I mean? I have a skit. You know which one I'm talking about.
No.
You know what I mean? I have a skit for your next project.
Which is for what?
I changed for Jesus.
Oh, books and bands, yeah.
Sorry?
What were you doing in that
I was fornicating, drinking, and smoking, and boopsing, man.
And what?
Boopsing, man, them.
Bro, that is the funniest clip
These are
I've
books and
ever come across. Because Pastor was thinking, what's going on now? Or what's going on here?
Since you're here, yeah, I was gonna say, so like I was gonna ask you, man, what do you what's one of the questions I had there? You see the questions I had there? I was gonna actually ask a question. I was gonna say
Which one? There's 5 questions here.
no, so there's 2 of them. So it's like, what does religion look like to you? And would you say you're spiritual? I was going to ask everyone that question, like, what does religion look like to you and are you spiritual? So obviously I can ask you first. Obviously you're a Christian and you're a Christian artist. So number one, would you say you're spiritual? Or no, what does religion look like to you? And would you say you're spiritual?
Sure. That's a good question. What's religion look like to me? I think being a Christian, it looks like allowing the principles of the Bible to navigate and shape your expression of life. So, for example, forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I think religion in general doesn't have Christianity rather specifically is often seen from a myopic lens in which people assume it's just...
Myopic. Listen. When you be dropping words like that, brother, you have to
elaborate.
You have to elaborate.
Okay,
What is myopic?
So it's seen mono often
one.
means one.
Yeah.
Yes, it's seen from one perspective, one view kind of thing. And often Christianity is seen from don't sleep around, don't get drunk, and whatever.
And adultery.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But in essence, there's stuff like conflict resolution, how to love your spouse, principles on business. There's so many great morals you can learn from the Bible, which you don't really tend to hear from the media because all they talk about is, maybe a Catholic priest doing a madness or maybe
LGBT.
all that kind of stuff, etc. And I think so for me, religion or Christianity or faith is about allowing your principles you live by to be navigated and determined by the Bible per se. And am I a spiritual person? 100%. Christians believe in the Holy Spirit. We believe that we're essentially spiritual beings having an earthly experience, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think as a Christian, it's easy for me to say that, but some people ascribe to other religions which they're just spiritualists as opposed to any other doctrine or rules they live by.
Because I hear a lot of people say stuff like, I'm more spiritual. I don't believe in religion. I'm spiritual. So when I ask them, what does that mean? I don't go to church. Like I pray in my house, or I don't conform to religion because I don't believe in it. But I pray to my God. I'm spiritual. So I've noticed people always kind of say that, or a lot of people say that. And I'm just like, it's interesting that like people say that.
I think for me, I'm on the stance of the examples that you just gave, Marv, because there's still some things that I question. I wouldn't say in Christianity, Christian people. There's still some things that I question. So it's like, I might have an auntie who believes one thing and is mad extreme, but she doesn't live by it.
Yeah.
You're preaching it. And I'm going to question that. Like, how can you preach something that you don't live by? And if someone else essentially doesn't live by what you're preaching, you condemn them, but you don't.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. So that for me is just like, are we going to sit back and act like this is the be all and end all, or are we able to question certain things? And for me, but the way I've been raised, me questioning it is like, oh my God, you're against us. And it's like, no, I just want better understanding. So I guess I'm still on my journey, should I say.
I think and I appreciate that. You're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to ask questions. And I think, again, going back to how we're raised, we're all African in this room. Typically, your parents are the be-all and end-all when it comes to that. And similar to like, we're big on hierarchy and respect and honor. So you wouldn't really question the pastor, the preacher, the professor, the teacher, the engineer, the lawyer. And I think we've come into a new age in life now, not even religion, in life where we now say, why? Why can't women be CEOs? Or why can't my son wear a pink dress? Why can't... So we're in a stage where now you can ask why. And I think it's beautiful to know that people can ask. And in the Bible, you see people ask God questions and wrestle and even try to say, oh, okay, God has said, okay, you're going to die now. Or let me have extra 7 years or whatever. And God gives them that. And I think as humans, the Bible is so complex, God is so complex that there's always going to be questions. You can never figure God out. And I think if you could, then in essence, you're God yourself. If you can figure something out.
I think the problem with Christianity is kind of what Tazer said. Not that I'm picking at you, by the way, that I feel like because there's so many Christians that have failed us, or we've seen like hypocrites or whatever, it's kind of made people like, oh, nah, man, I don't even believe you, bro. Oh, allow me, man. I'm stepping away from this because you're not living what you preach. But I think it's you can't allow that person to waver your faith, if that makes sense. It's kind of because that, it's like, for example, this might not be the greatest example, but like, for example, policemen, there might be 90 policemen doing a good job, but then that one policeman doing a bad job, and you're like, oh, fuck police. I get it. There might have, to be honest, there's more than that, but I get what you're saying, but the majority are doing good. The majority are arresting criminals. The majority are keeping us safe. The majority are, you can ring them and they come to our aid. There's a few bad ones, but then that's like saying, I don't believe in the police system. It's kind of like, because the funny thing is a lot of people saying F the police, F the police. If someone burgled their house or there was something, who are you ringing straight away? You're ringing 999.
118.
No, but I thought, no, but
You're ringing 999
but
immediately. So that shows that, remember, if you've got that stance where you're like, F the police, brother, then you should never ring them for anything.
There's some people that will act as if that the way they live their life is better than yours because their faith is stronger.
That's fine,
but that doesn't mean that if I was to phone God now, He's gonna answer your your phone call stronger than mine.
No, I hear that, but remember, that's
or your connection, sorry, stronger than mine.
But that's a me and you problem. That's not a God problem.
I'm not saying it's a God problem.
That's
I'm saying the way you're talking to me is as if it's a me problem.
No, I hear that, but remember, you can't allow that to distinguish your relationship with God because, for example, I'm a Christian, I think I'm better than you. All right, I'm a Christian, I think I'm better than you. All right, live your life. God's judgment, like, I can't run off you, but a lot of people will now see that and allow that person to, like, for example, if you go to the church and then someone's like, what are you wearing? You can't wear that to church. That's a member of the church. That's not the church. So someone will allow that person to run them out of the church and say, I'm not coming to church. I don't feel comfortable when I go to church to the judging what I wear. That's one person in the church. It's like life in general. Like, people are going to chat shit. Like, church is just like life. It's just in a room. So in church, you do get people who are not doing the right thing. But
going back to what Faith said in regards to that might be an elder, that might be someone's mum, someone's auntie. So by me adhering to what she's saying, I might not be doing it because it's the Christian way. I might just be doing it because I respect her. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't disrespect her by chancing it and saying, no, I'm going to wear what I'm going to wear.
You might know I'm not.
But you are.
I'm not religious, you know what I mean? I'm not Christian or whatever, but I look at, so you think of a church, right? And this is from when I was growing up. I look at it as a house, you know what I mean? So let's say we go to your house to pray, you know what I mean? Praise the Lord, do whatever, you know what I mean? We are all there, you know what I mean? The Lord is within that house, we're doing whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm in his home, and there's certain ways, you know what I mean? You know that he would like for me to conduct myself in his home, essentially. You know what I mean? We're still speaking to, you know what I mean, to the Lord. We're still doing this, you know what I mean? And, you know, the be-all and end-all is the Lord. But it's still, you know what I mean, as a human being, as a person, I still also kind of have my, you know, rules of conduct, how I would like you to, you know, conduct yourself within my home. And I feel like the church is similar. Sometimes people feel judged and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's 100 people in this room that have all come to, you know what I mean, to pray to the Lord, essentially. And, you know, like, let's use dress code, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? 92 of us have decided that, you know what I mean, we would like for this to be the standard of dress, essentially. You know what I mean? And I feel like, as a person, if you say, well, it's the Lord and I want to come in here naked, I feel like that then becomes disrespectful because you're now, you know, not respecting the other people you're worshiping with, essentially. So I think that's what some people then have an issue with, where, you know, somebody will bring this up and it feels like, oh, the person's questioning X, Y, Z. I'm like, just look at it as you are in somebody's home, or you're in, you know, you're in a room with a bunch of people and we have a code of conduct. You know what I mean? We would all like to be comfortable here, essentially. And if you feel comfortable naked, that is fine. But 94 other people would feel comfortable if you had some clothes on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where some people...
But that makes sense, though, because at the end of the day, like, as much as you might be good at your job based on what you've put on your CV, there's a certain uniform you have to wear to work.
Yeah.
You can't turn around and be like, yeah, but I can get my job done. I can wear what I want. This is not the type of establishment.
Yeah.
So can you leave the tracksuit at
I feel
home?
like there's just a balance you have.
I'll wear a shirt tomorrow.
but
Other human beings.
That's my point. You say that, but like, in terms of God and whatever, God never said, come to me in a suit. He never said that. Where does it say that in the Bible that you have to see me in a suit? These were policies that are made by people in the church. That's why even one of the examples that Jesus got vexed that time in the temple and turned the table over. He's like, brother, why are you not making all these rules? Like, I didn't tell you to make all these, like, so I'm saying, in terms of church, obviously don't come naked. To be honest, you might be in the mind state to come naked, but I don't know. Remember, we're not judgment, but for me, that's why, like, even when I used to go to church, I used to go in tracksuit, bro.
Yeah, I get it.
That's my point, as in, because if I'm coming to praise God, I should feel comfortable. If you want to wear a suit, wear a suit. However you want to come to this church, come as you are.
Yeah, but I wouldn't judge someone for wearing a tracksuit or a suit.
Whereas
some people are.
I love what Keith said about going to someone's house, because when you go to Dubai and you go to visit that mosque, you are covered. I've been to that mosque, beautiful. And when I go there, I respect the rules. But one thing I would say is that God, now from a biblical perspective, God does not require you to wear a suit to worship or fellowship. You can come in a tracksuit. Some days in church, I'm wearing my snapback, I'm wearing my fedora, I've got my combats on and my kicks. You know, we're nice and chilled. But I think, and again, as a musician, okay, if I'm going to perform at a modern church like a Hillsong, I'll wear my ripped jeans. If I'm doing a traditional church or whatever, I'm wearing the proper jeans. Do you know what I mean? And it's not that I'm conforming or what. It's not that I'm losing my identity. It's like, if I'm going to Keith's, I know it's the shoes off thing. So let me respect the house that I'm in. But coming back to what Taze was saying again about judging people again is, as a Christian, is like so wrong.
Exactly.
It's actually so wrong to judge people. And I think a lot of people have left the church and been affected by the church because of Christians. I think Gandhi said, like, I love your Christ, but I hate your Christians.
I hate Gandhi. I'll kick him in the church.
There was one kind of person like that.
Guy,
but I think, like, in essence, a lot of the issues people have with God is not actually with God, it's with people.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
And I think we need to be able to differentiate the two. Because, and again, like when pastors mess up, I think, was your faith and hope in your leader or was it in God? Yeah, because there are flawed beings. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't hold them to account. But it's like, if I'm your pastor and I do a madness, oh yeah, bung God. God had nothing to do with the madness. It was just that individual. And again, bad news always spread faster than good news. There are a million churches doing brilliant stuff. There's always the extreme ones or the odd ones that get the headlines and get the rounds.
I think people just use it as an excuse. Like sometimes it's like, see what I'm saying? Because people might be like, church is still whatever. Like, yeah, some do, but some don't. Like, I feel like there's so many churches that you can't just jump on this wave of like judging churches because, for example, that's like if you use that to any other facet of life, and for example, you watch the news and there was armed robbery and it was black men, and then white people, for example, at home saying, yeah, all black people are armed robbers, we'll be fuming. We'll be like, no, it's not. We're not all black. We're not all armed robbers. So if you can use that and differentiate that and be like, nah, then why, when it comes to church, do you do the same thing where like there'll be a bad pastor and then it's like out of the blue, they're all thieves? No, they're not. They can't. It's not.
I feel like when you judge, let's judge, individual, churches and the people in them and why I feel, some people, where, as you were saying, are you here for God or are you here for pastor and stuff like that? The problem and this is, something I saw when I used to be in the church, So let's say, you're new to church, you're in there or whatever. The way certain messages and stuff were presented. Remember, at the end of the day, it's kind of, when you look at the pastor and everything, it's an interpretation. So, they are passing their view of these teachings essentially. And in a lot of churches, bro, they worship the pastor more than God. Like that is the setup they have, which is why when the pastor does something, it throws people so much because a lot of these people, like from when they could remember, their faith was being built around God, but the pastor is the crutch. Essentially, he is the person holding up everything. Their churches where I can tell you, bro, like some of those people can't even differentiate between the pastor and God. I've told you a story about something my brother's mum told me when this was a church where, the pastor, they loved this pastor, to the point where one day pastor's car is driven into the church or whatever, everyone's waiting outside for the pastor. The pastor's cars come over, the Holy Spirit has hit people were fainting, and the pastor or whatever. Pastor's not in the car.
Mad.
You look at these people like, pastor's not even here. You know what I mean? Pastor's not even here. Where is, you know what I mean? But like I'm saying, for them, like the worship of this person is so strong, you can't even differentiate. That's why I'm not sure if you've seen what's happening in Kenya with the pastor, where his congregation, where he's, basically told people to fast, and it's a borderline cult. They found, well, last time I checked, I think it was 109 bodies. Like just graves full of people who just fasted until they died. Wow. 109 people. Where like, And I was like, God, Jesus never ever made people fast until death. I don't even think Jesus made anyone fast for 40 days with him. People like, and you think to yourself like, if you're going to do all of that, your belief is so deep in this person, it surpasses what's in the teachings essentially, because there's nowhere in this, in the scriptures where it tells you do not eat anything for 40 days plus. People are dropping like flies. So you find that some people, you know, it affects their faith so much because their faith is tied to a person.
Right. Yeah. But can we wait, is everyone shared their point?
No. What was the
in terms of
well, you haven't answered.
Would you think of religion and would you say you're spiritual?
You haven't answered.
I was gonna say I'm a deist.
Who?
I'm a deist. So for me, I do believe in a higher power, because you know you have atheists, you know what I mean, people that believe in nothing essentially. So as a deist, you know what I mean, it is a belief in a, you know what I mean, in a higher power or a God of some sort, you know what I mean, who's created the world, brought everything here, but he's also, you know what I mean, a God that doesn't interfere with how things work. So you know how, you know what I mean, as a, you know what I mean, religious person, as a Christian person, as Muslim or whatever, you believe in, you know what I mean, God's effect on the world and, you know what I mean, God's rules, God's teaching. So for me, I genuinely believe, like, I'm not arrogant enough to believe that I am the be all and end all and, you know, that this is whatever. I genuinely believe that there is a higher power. I also believe that I don't understand how it works. So, you know what I mean? So for me, that's kind of my belief essentially as a deist. I also do believe that, you know what I mean, there's no interference from, you know what I mean, said entity that has...
So what he's planned, he's planned.
No, there's no plan. There's no, you know what I mean, there's no, hey, this is gonna, you know what I mean, I've affected this in this way or this way, you know what I mean? I genuinely believe we've been brought here by a higher power. I also can admit that I don't understand how it works. And I don't believe, you know what I mean, what is out there is how it works. You know what I mean? So I can sit there and say, you know what, of everything that I've learned and I've seen, I don't think that is what it is.
So before you pivot, I think your introspective is beautiful. Because I think, and I think, I know you're not, but what you said sounds very Christian, in which, like, there's a lot of things as Christians we don't understand. And there's certain times when God does get involved and he doesn't get involved. And it's like, yo, why didn't you get involved this time? Or like, people ask, why does God allow bad things to happen? Like, I listened to something where a dad was changing his baby. He turned around, and then by the time he had looked back at the child had kind of rolled off the counter and kind of like passed. Do you know what I mean? And people are like, oh, like, where was God in that kind of thing? And it's like, if God didn't give us free will, how...
Would you learn from that mistake?
Yeah, not just how would you learn from a mistake and when does he get involved? It can be a bit tricky, you know? So I love how we can ask questions and navigate that. And even down to the preacher telling people to do some madness. I'm so big on, like, leaders in general being very cautious about how they handle people. And the Bible even said that teachers will be held to higher account on the last day. Because if I'm a steward, if I'm stewarding people and saying, we're going to fast for 1 million days, 50 days, whatever, what are the implications of what I'm telling them? If I say that, oh, all I don't know, if you've ever had a child out of wedlock, whatever, you're going to hell. I'm not saying that's in the Bible, whatever. Or just something random like that. That's going to have adverse effects on people. If you come to visit my church and I say, you can't come to my church in a do-rag, whatever, that's going to potentially put you off ever going to a church ever again. And I feel a lot of leaders in general, across many religions, whatever, they shouldn't be leaders. They should maybe be a teacher of that word or wherever. But to be in a position of leadership is so important because one mistake I make can alter one's perspective in life.
But what's the governing board in order for you to verify that, okay, cool, you've gone through what you need to go through in order to be a leader? Because sorry to make it trivial.
The governing board, bro.
You got Bible school, though.
Yeah, so Catholics would make, so like Church of England would make you go for like a course, I think, like Bible college and all sorts. So every like denomination and sect will have their rules that you need to go by.
Okay.
Some might have to go to uni, then get a doctorate, then study theology before even considering becoming a priest or a pastor, whatever.
Because, sorry to make it trivial, but going to like PTs, for example, bruv, there's bare people on the gram that say they're PTs and they're selling glute programs and this program and that program, and I'm looking at them training. I'm looking at them training and I'm like, but they'll have thousands of followers and thousands of likes and comments, and it's like, me as someone who goes to the gym, I can look at this video and tell you everything you've done in this video is wrong, but who am I?
Yeah.
Just saying, in the grand scheme of things, who am I? So I'm not going to say anything, but there's people following this person and doing the same training, complaining, I'm not seeing no changes. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people are still going to the gym doing 3 sets of 10 and complaining that there's no growth. You've barely warmed up. But someone's told them to do this, and they've looked at that person's body, but that person didn't get that body that way.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? They didn't get that body that way.
It might have been genetics.
Yeah.
They might be doing 3 sets of 10, but their genetics are popping off. You got to do 17 sets of 10. Get me?
I think like the amplified voices aren't always the qualified voices. You know, so just because someone's got a platform and someone's naturally got the genetics, it's not going to always work for someone else.
I was in church once,
and
sorry to cut you off. This young lady had, just had a baby. It's obviously out of wedlock, out of relationship, and they made her stand up and apologize to the congregation.
I've seen that before, and I hate it so
Bro,
much.
and like
I hate
it proper
it so
threw
much.
me off because I was like, for me, bro, like you're not making me stand up in here and apologize to between me and God, bro. You're not making me apologize to 50 people in here.
I hear you, but if she's accepted that that's the congregation that she's in, and if you do commit this crime, essentially, or this sin, you have to stand up and apologize to the congregation. Then she signed up for that.
I hear that.
It sounds mad.
But we can also say there are certain things where you can say, yes, maybe this is how you would like to conduct your house. You know what I mean? Because if you were to come to my house, Tazer, right now, and I say, all you have to have your cheeks up.
I'm going home.
No. Sorry, no. I know it's wild. No. I know it's wild. And I needed it to be outlandish so you can say,
I'm going home.
But that's my thing. So with this, but
no, you got to warm up.
No.
Because that was wild. Man, get to the door, you say, man, you got to warm up.
Okay.
You got to let us into the yard first.
Why?
No, because because then we'll come in.
No, I'm not going in.
No, but you're forgetting. If man says that, obviously you're not going in.
No, some man will go in.
No.
Bro, okay, let me okay, wait, Marv, wait.
If you said you man come in, you want to drink, like whatever, then out of the blue, it's like, it's getting to 12, it's 12 now.
You man out cheeks.
If you man don't put cheeks out, you got to leave my house at 12.
No, but who knows? Okay, but wait.
No, I'm leaving at 11:30.
No, but who knows that? Who knows that? Is what I'm saying.
That's my point. That's
no,
what
but what if he snaps? For example, he's filmed us and we don't know, innit? So it's known.
How are we getting
Wait. The streets know. Yeah,
This hypothetical is
The streets know that after 12.
Hypothetical. I didn't think of that.
The streets know that after 12, Keith has man them in his yard with their cheeks out.
It's mad. And
then he posts. And then he posts me and you in his yard at 12:30. The man never wrote it, like, hey, you mad? Taser Marvin at Keith's yard. I had the man that got the cheeks out.
The bums are out, boy. Them man are only recording it at the top, so that means the bottom half is
Have you not noticed? These man are cheating the podcast.
No, serious.
Headshots only. Like,
you were saying those are the rules of the house. You know what I mean? There's also certain rules you can look at and you're like, there's certain things where you're like, it's extreme. You know what I mean? Certain things where you're like, we can sit there and say, I know this is your home. I know this is whatever, but come on. You know what I mean? Certain times, if you sit there and you're like, hey, I've got my trainers on, but I don't have socks on. Can I keep my shoes on? I have to be a little bit understanding. You know what I mean?
I might offer you socks.
No.
You have to what?
I might offer you socks.
Yeah.
But there's an understanding. So for me, like, I personally feel like the whole making people, you know what I mean, apologize in front of the church and, to the church essentially. Because for me, I feel like, okay, it's one of those things where, you know what I mean, when you think of sins and stuff, it's between me and God to a certain degree. So if you ask me, if the pastor's like, you know what, I mean, I need you to pray, I need you to, you know what I mean, apologize, I need this, for me and between me and God, I hear that. But you're, you know what I mean, you're making me do this in front of who, you know what I mean, in the grand scheme of things, who are they?
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, my thing is this, in terms of Christianity and whatever, I feel like Christianity is the only faith that, like, people can bend rules for. Like, for example, if you look at, like, the Muslim
I can't speak
faith.
on the other one, so I don't know.
No, I'm just saying, for example, like the Muslim faith or like certain other faiths here, there's no bending in like what the book said. But what the Quran says is what the Quran says, bro. And it's either you following it or.
But isn't it down to interpretation, not bending?
It's not even, remember, it's not even about interpretation. It's just, for example, if the Quran says this is not what you're allowed to do, you're not allowed to do it. If you want to do it,
still do it.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you want to do it, you can, but it's sin, innit? And we're not championing that. Whereas in the Bible, there's certain things in the Bible that people would, for example, what I don't like is when people use the Bible and it suits them. So, for example, someone will maybe, I don't know, do something in the Bible that is not allowed and be like, yeah, but God said there's forgiveness. But then when they're ready, they will tell you, but in the Bible it says, no, don't pick and choose when you want to use the Bible. Because a lot of people do that. Where it's something that when it's something that they want to pick, like God said, for example, someone might say, homosexuality. In the Bible it says it's wrong. Cool. But my guy, you've been committing adultery for the past 4 years. Is that not wrong? You lie every day. there's so many things you do that in the Bible says you shouldn't, but it's like you want to pick something out the Bible when it suits you, but live a life full of sin. So I'm saying like, people do this thing with like Christianity that like, they kind of pick and choose when they want to read when they want the Holy Book to matter to them when it doesn't. And I'm saying, to be honest, people might do it with other faiths, but I'm just saying in general, in terms of Christianity, maybe because it's one of the biggest religions in the world, it's kind of hard to police because everyone views it in their own way. Yeah. So like you might remember the Church of England, there's Catholic, there's Pentecostal, there's all different denominations that slightly have a different variation. Like for example, Church of England don't believe in abortion, right? Or they do. I think it's Catholics don't believe in abortion.
One of them.
A Church of England doesn't mind it. For example, so it's like, all right.
What's the one that they wear all white?
White garment, celestial CNS.
That one.
Yeah, I came from that. I was born into that.
Yeah.
But I'm going back to what you said. I think the reason why people pick and choose is because in essence, a Christian is someone who's accepted as they're a flawed being. So we're never going to attain perfection, but we should strive for it.
Yeah.
So for example, I might not kill, I might not steal, I might not do anything, but if I struggle with pride in my heart, that is still a sin.
Yeah.
Now, different sins have different consequences. If I steal a penny sweet, that's different. If I shoot someone, that's totally different. And I think, again, if we have more grace towards people when they make mistakes, we'll see more of ourselves in them. So if I know that Jack is fornicating and I'm only prideful, I realize that with my pride, I see how Jack is struggling with that because Jack might not struggle with pride. So in that area, he's better than me. And I think once you accept that I am not, even me as a Christian, I am not better than an atheist. The difference between me and an atheist and I is that I've accepted that I'm a flawed being who needs someone perfect to help them on their journey and to get into heaven. That's the only, I am not better than anyone else. But some Christians have the perspective that I'm better than Keith because he's a deist. Yeah, or another man. And that's the problem. It's down to poor doctrine. If you feel you're better than another man, you're not. And you've missed the mark when it comes to Christianity.
But you know when you said about sin, there's different consequences, but in the Bible, does it not say that God said that like sin is sin?
Yeah,
so whether you
I'm talking about earth.
That's my point. Yeah. That's another thing as well. It's like the law of the land and God's law. There's two different laws, for example, because the sin of me lying and me, the way God makes it seem is like if you sin, if you lie or you murder, same thing to me. Sin is sin.
Yeah.
Whereas here, if you lie in court, yeah, you'll get something will happen. But if you murder someone, way more time. So I'm saying, I think it's just like the way...
The conflict between the two.
Yeah, and the way man views stuff, that maybe that's why people kind of believe that, that's minor what I done, man. But what you done is worse. It's like a judgment thing. But God said you shouldn't judge.
Do you know, it's funny. Where does humanity get its moral compass from?
10 Commandments, no.
A lot of the world, I think a good portion of the world has its moral compass from the Bible.
Yeah.
So even like in court, you would have to swear on the Bible. And if you're of different religion, you can ask to swear on whatever else. I feel like, and I guess I might be a bit biased as a Christian, but I feel like a lot of life's morality comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
Because why should I not kill a serial rapist? Why do I feel I shouldn't kill him? He does deserve to be maybe put away, but where does my morality? Because in essence, if he's a serial rapist, in essence, we should eliminate him, in essence. But where is my moral compass from? Yeah. And I feel we used our moral compasses to judge other people's moral compasses, but that goes against our own moral compass in itself.
I think that's a lovely segue into the next topic, which is...
We've got to round up though.
Yeah, I know, but quickly, we can even touch it for 5 minutes, yeah.
And also, you've got a single coming out, so you need to promote that as well.
The ending of Snowfall. I think a lot of people were... it's weird because essentially what Franklin Saint, Damson Idris, was doing is fucked. Right? He was trying to... He's essentially annihilating his community, but watching the show, you want him to win. You want him to get the 73 M's from the KGB or whatever my man's name was and all that, blah, blah, blah.
KGB, that's Russians, bro.
Yeah, the guy was dealing with the Russians, no?
But it was CIA though, no?
He was that. He was living a double life too. Yeah, he was living a double life too, bro. It's mad, but
it was a parallel of his dad though.
Who?
Damson.
What do you mean it's a parallel of his dad?
Franklin. Remember when
as in ending up on the
his dad, his uncle's missus was like, that's your dad over there, and he saw his dad. His dad was a
in the beginning. No, I like the way they fought. I like the way they fought. So even the shop he went to, that's the shop he worked in. You know, when he asked my man for change, that's the shop he worked in when he started. Stuff like
people are saying if John Singleton didn't die, that ending wouldn't have happened. People
Why? It was rushed.
Yeah,
it was rushed. Though.
A lot of people are saying that if John Singleton was alive, that ending wouldn't happen because really and truly, for all he went, like it started to spiral out of control. Like
seasons ago.
The show, up to that point, like it started getting silly, innit? Like obviously it was a cliffhanger and whatever, but if you want to really speak about the ending of it, it started to make no sense. And also, Franklin helped so many people in that show that when he needed help, people weren't there to help him.
He didn't need. See, this is what I think. This is one thing that people are missing. Yeah, and this is the beauty of the last episode. Obviously, they rushed it. We know that.
Yeah.
But I have to take what they given me in it.
Yeah.
The mum's silence is very important because she's looking at her son and seeing that you still don't get it. We've lost. So him trying to solve, you
haven't lost.
You've lost.
You
bro.
haven't lost,
like,
bro. You've never lost.
Understand?
Bro.
This money
lost.
that you're looking for is not there. It was never yours. It was hope. It was. You know what I'm saying? It was hope for you to do this and hope for you to do that. This brother who you're talking about is gonna make the phone call and try. They're not gonna allow you to keep this money, bro. 73 million, bro. Let it go. So when the mum realized, okay, I guess I can get closure from. There was a brother that she was looking for. I can't remember. And then he's like, "What?
Dad? His dad?
Yeah, his dad. Yeah." And he was like, "What? I killed him. Yeah." The mum's already given up. All right, cool. That's what I was hoping for. It's clearly not gonna happen. Boom, killed him. Anything after that was had to happen. He had to spiral out of control because all he wanted was the money. And even if he got the money, it wouldn't have been enough. He would have wanted 150 M's.
Nah, it would have been enough.
Nah. I don't think it would have been enough.
Would have, because remember, there was a point in time where he rang my man and said, "Listen, like I've got our money, I'm out of the game now. I just don't want to do this no more." So that would have been Franklin checking out then.
You hope so?
No, he would have checked out because remember, Franklin. What it looks to me, is like Franklin wanted. He came from humble beginnings. It was madness. He started to spark. Like, if you notice that, like, at that point in time, Franklin was still semi-normal. Like, there was a few things that he had done that was mad, but at that point in time, he was still like just a guy who.
So why did he end the bum then? He didn't need to end the bum.
But he went mad. But because you're forgetting, remember, Franklin worked so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, if you think about it, Franklin was like, your brain's a muscle, innit? So Franklin was really on overdrive for 5 series or however. Remember, he was the one who always had to like think of how to outwit this person.
So why was he going to turn it down? Is what I'm asking you.
No, when he was going to check out with that money, remember, same way that my man went to Africa and just chilled. Franklin could have just gone off into the distance. He didn't. Remember, Franklin put everyone on around him. His uncle, remember, his uncle wasn't making money like that.
But he lost a lot though.
He did, but that's my point. But he got to a point where he lost so much, but he was like, do you know what? That's like me, for example, losing so much, but I've got 72 M's to show for it. So it kind of makes me like, do you know what?
I think
cool. But remember, he didn't lose all that before the 72. Remember, the 72 was there, and he could have checked out. He would have still got on with his uncle. His uncle would still be alive.
No.
Yeah, when he was going to check out with the 72 mil.
Before my man stole it?
Yeah.
But that's
it was cool. That's my point.
I don't think the 72 M's was his.
When he stole that money, I mean, when the guy went like, fuck your money, not fuck your money, whatever, that's when Franklin was, you could see his eyes went, then that's when his uncle and them, it went sour. Louis and them, there were so many people that it just started spiraling out of control.
But I think that's bound to happen with the responsibility of having 73 M's.
But no,
I just feel like all of this was bound to happen.
But
Don't get me wrong, it felt rushed in the season.
But bro,
I feel like that's what they were getting at. Like, bro, like this is you've committed to this lifestyle.
You're not gonna,
there's no out.
No, but there is an out because he wouldn't have stayed in the hood. He could have just the same way that my man went to Africa. Like he could have disappeared. All he had to do was leave South Central LA. That's it.
No, I'm not disputing that.
Exactly. So he would have been out.
I'm saying his character. That's not what they wanted for this character. He's so embedded in trying to make shit happen that. But even when he got to the end, yeah, and he opened the safe, for example, when he found out that my man was still alive, Peanut, and he went to go buck him, when my man gave him the address and was like, listen, I can't find, what was his missus' name again? And the cut with his child and all his money. Oh, yeah, you didn't watch it.
Season 2, big man.
Oh, okay. What's his missus' name? Begins with V.
I don't remember.
The woman that he was with the baby, she emptied his bank account, took like 800 bags. That was one. So when he went to the bank, they were like, yeah, someone's already drained your account. And he goes, who? His missus. He's like, shit. Then he's got a private investigator to do some research to find out where she is. I can't find him, bro. He's like, what am I paying you for? He goes, but I got another thing for you. And he gives him the address of Peanut, his old school. Do you remember Peanut? What's his name again? David, D-Ron, what's his name? The comedian. D-Ray, yeah, him, yeah. So he goes to check him, and he's already a nitty in his thing, and he's like, he stole 5 M's from him back in the day, innit? So he's like, where's the 5 M's? The man says, yeah, it's in the safe. He gets someone to open up he kills him, gets someone to open up the safe, and there's only 12 bags in there. That 12 bags is the same 12 bags that, not the same 12 bags, but that's how much his first key cost. It was 12 bags. When he went to go meet my man, the old white guy, yeah, the first key he bought was 12K. So that's why he started laughing. He said, oh my God, what, I was about to start again. And he kills the nitty and he kills the person who helped him open the safe. And I think he just gave up. I'm not doing this again. I've done this already.
But that's my point, as in like, Franklin, the reason why he goes mad is because of that.
But I think his mum saw it as, bro, we've lost, bro. Like, mum's happy to sit in jail. She didn't kill herself. She just killed the brother who she had hope in, and she went to jail.
But that's my point. She's not going to be happy because that decision she's made in the moment was gratification in that moment. But when you're sitting in jail in a woman's only prison and there's bare mad women in this prison, you're not going to be happy, bro, because you didn't have to do that. That's my point. As in, like, it got that. It just became like very selfish.
I can't speak to that scene, but you don't know what conversation she's having in her head. You don't know, you know what I mean? Because sometimes with certain people, you know, it's a feeling of, you know, for us as rational people or people that aren't experiencing what that person is experiencing, you know what I mean? It seems crazy. But for that person, you know what I mean? You're like, if I do not do this, it's, you know what I mean?
I think that's her peace. That was peace for her.
Have you watched Shaft?
Yeah. You
know what I mean? First, Shaft or whatever at the end, and it's the same as Nino Brown, you know what I mean? The people that kill him, you know what I mean? This person's, Nino, you know, with Nino Brown, obviously that ended up, you know what I mean, different essentially, but with...
The same thing though, because he got shot at the end.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, with,
I was fuming, man.
With Shaft, you know, the dude was definitely going to prison or whatever, but the mum felt like, you know what I mean, I'm still not going to be content with this. So you can look at it like the brother was going to jail. You didn't need to do that. For her, that wasn't acceptable. For her, she was like, you took my son from me, and the only way I can live with this is if I do that. So I may end up in jail. I might hate being in prison, but my head, you know what I mean?
But the maddest thing is,
I will feel better within myself than me not doing it and still being out there.
But the funny thing, we were talking about Christianity, and like it just flips full circle to forgiveness. It gets to the point where, like, if you don't forgive someone for something, it's going to eat you, and you're going to destroy yourself.
So I think she forgave herself, but he wasn't willing to accept that.
She didn't forgive herself.
I think she forgave herself. That's why she went to jail and was like, I'm cool. Like, you're not, you keep coming to check me and you keep complaining about, you know, if you did this, you know, if you did that. Big man, except we've lost. That's why her silence was so powerful. He went to see her twice. She didn't say one word. He was making up the conversation in his head based on her response. So, Mom, we can do this, we can do that. Mum was looking at him. He's thinking, Mum, you're not going to speak. It's because you don't get it, bruv. We've lost. Chill out.
You've lost.
It's not you. It's a we thing, though. You've lost Louis. You've lost your uncle. You've lost Leon.
She's lost.
She even told Leon. Leon came to check her and said, "Listen, big man, I love what you're doing for the community, but your best bet is to go but my gal in Ghana."
But I think with all of these situations, it depends what you see as winning and
losing.
When you look at The Godfather, you know what I mean? We've all seen The Godfather. You know what I mean? Some people, you know what I mean? Some people would see Michael Corleone becoming, you know what I mean, the leader of the family, you know, it's like, oh, you know what I mean, son's taking over the family, whatever. For, you know what I mean, for Don Vito, that's the worst thing that could have happened because he didn't want that for Michael, you know what I mean? So Michael's come, he's taken over the family, he's run the family, he's grown the family, he's taken the family to heights that, you know what I mean, that, you know what I mean, unimaginable for what they were doing. But for Don Vito, he died knowing his son became the one thing he did not want his son to become. He was like, I am this, but for all my kids, you know what I mean, even his older brother that was a wild card or whatever, that's his fate, that's calm. But for Don Vito, the one thing he wanted was for Michael to not, you know what I mean, he was proud of Michael not being part of the family. He was proud of Michael You know what I mean? Whatever. Michael only came in at his weakest when he couldn't stop him, if that makes sense, where he had no power over that. So some people can see that as a win because, you know what I mean, he's got the family business. He's taken the family business to new heights. You know what I mean? But for Don Vito, that's the worst thing.
But that goes back to what we were saying the other day that time, Taze. Remember we were saying about, I think it was like last episode when we talked, I don't know, I gave the example of a dad that's doing a certain thing
and then you're like,
showing his life, and then you can't be upset that your child's fall into that because your family's a made family.
And also, there's
you can be upset. You know what I mean?
You can be upset.
Bro. It's a life you want for yourself, and that's why sometimes when people are trappers or whatever, you're like, I trap so my kids don't have to. That is, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you're like, I'm okay with my kids, you know what I mean, using the proceeds of this to be better people so that they don't have to live this life that I lead, you know what I mean? So for him, like I said, he's, you know what I mean, he's not going to sit there and say, oh my God, you know what I mean, you've become this, I'm going to stop you, this. But deep within himself, he felt like I have failed because the one thing I wanted for Michael was for Michael not to be.
I hear you, but in terms of when it comes to mob stuff and whatever, there's like a criteria to it. Like it's not as easy as just selling drugs, for example, and a drug dealer. Like I can't remember what guy it is. It's one of the mob bosses that was reading out like the 10 things or 20 things that the mob have to adhere to. So like, for example, like mob bosses can never have meetings by themselves. Like if you're one family and you're one family, you can't meet. There's got to be another family involved, like an impartial member that watches what you two talk about. Because just to make sure because if you do something, our family has to hold you accountable because there's a certain rules that are put in place, you know what I'm saying? So like if Taylor could meet you to shoot you and say, your faith child shot me first, so no, I'm here to make sure you two both behave because we have to answer to the table. Yeah. There's so many things that, like, for example, women and children can't be harmed. If one of you harm a child or a woman, you're accountable. You never lie. So even if, for example, something might happen, even if you've done a madness, you tell the truth to the table and we'll deal with it after that. But if we find out you're lying, there's consequences. So there's so many things involved in it. So if your family's living within that and your son now grows up and is in that, you can be upset, but you can't really be mad because the way of life he's seen has shaped the way he lives.
But one thing I will say is that, to Keith's point, is it's a personal thing. So personally, he's angry that his son has followed his footsteps, but that's a personal thing. He has to live with that. That's not his son's fault.
Yeah, but for him,
it's not his son's fault.
The way he looked at it is, you know what I mean, I lived this life so you don't have to. And his son ended up living the life that he didn't want his, you know what I mean, his son to live.
Yeah, but that's like Chris Eubank, for example. He said when he was growing up, I don't want none of my sons to be boxers because it's a brutal sport and whatever. His son become a boxer. I'm watching you, Dad. You don't want me to be a boxer, but I've seen you training every day. I want to be like you, Dad. That's like Chris Eubank saying I failed because my son wants to be a boxer.
No, but let me say, I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? That's your interpretation of it. I feel like personal failure.
I'm just saying that in terms of you saying personal failure is like, it's very hard because your kid...
No, it's not very hard because for him, literally, like, as a person, he's, you know what I mean, for him, he sits there and he says, as who I am, you know what I mean, I do not want my son to, you know what I mean, to become X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? His son can become that. His son could even be good at that. His son could be the best.
He can still feel
that.
Like he feels.
For him, he's like, I did not want my son to become this. So for him, personally, it's, you know what I mean, it was one of the worst things to happen for him because it's just something that he didn't want. We can sit here and say, you know, there's this and this from our point of view, essentially. But for, you know what I mean, for Don Vito, essentially, that was one of the hardest things. And that's the problem with certain things. It's literally how you feel within yourself as a person. And for us, we can sit here and look at certain things and think, oh, that was an odd thing to do, or that's an odd thing to be upset about. Why would you look at that like this? But then for some people, you know what I mean, that's what quietens, you know what I mean, the voices in your head. That's what helps you sleep at night. You know what I mean? And even like from a Christian perspective, Marvin, you can sit there and you're like, it's a person that sits there and they're like, you know what, I'm not perfect. And as a person, you know, I'm not going to sit here and contest what I did. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to go to prison, and I'm going to take the sentence for what I did. You know what I mean? Because what I've now done, you know what I mean? I've been punished on earth, and now I'm going to have to go deal with it between myself and God. That's just how it works as a person. I can't get away from what I've done. Should I have done it? Probably not. I now have to live with the consequences.
What I liked with the ending of Snowfall is you see Franklin kind of deal with the consequences. Like, this is the same. He became the person who
he's been producing.
He's been producing with bringing drugs to the hood and staying in his community. He essentially became that person. So I feel like that being full circle, it was a good ending. Even though some people argue that it was rushed, I feel like it was a good ending to the
I didn't
series.
like it, but at the end of the day, it's not whether I like it or not because I wasn't the producer of the show. But for me, I would have wanted, for all that Franklin lost, I would have wanted him to win something or at least get something. But he remember, I feel like with it's for example, it's like the ending of Scarface. I can't lie to you, that ending has bugged me for my whole life. Like, I hate the ending of Scarface, but I have to deal with it because it's a film. But for me, Scarface was like, even if you look at it, Scarface was a wrong-un, but he wasn't a wrong-un. He was like a...
Well, I swear drugs is the one that kind of made him go,
No, but I feel like all of these films, if you think of drug films, you know what I mean? All of these endings for me are absolutely perfect.
it's
Because it
reality,
shows you
reality.
that, you know what I mean? When you, the way you live this life, it goes there.
Yeah,
and it-
100% yes, but what I'm trying to say to you is I get that, Keith, but I'm just saying, for example, like, not in all films, innit? Like, I'm saying, but in terms of the drug game, there are people in it that die, but there are people smart enough to navigate and know when to get out. But with Scarface, for example, like, obviously it was a volatile time in Miami, innit? Obviously you've seen Coke and Cowboys, so you've seen how people were just dying left, right and centre. Like, it was before CCTV, before DNA, some man were just getting killed. If there's no witnesses, you're getting away with it. But it's just, do you know what it is? It's not Scarface getting killed, it's how he got killed.
Well, just run up and shot him.
Nah, the brother behind him with the glasses, bro. Like, because Scarface was, like, he was gonna die. He was coked up. He'd been shot about 300 times. Man said, how you got carried? How you got? This one dude with a leather jacket and the glasses and just comes behind him, strolls, just walks, and it's bang. And it's like, I would have rather him just get shot by the man on the stairs that just like that. I would rather that.
But I think,
this,
it
this
mirrors
one
real
dude.
life, bro. You know what I mean? Because it's not a sexy ending. You don't get, you know what I mean, the coolest guy in there shooting you, bro. When you look, I don't want to spoil.
But the reason why
I was about to spoil a really good show, but I won't. You know what I mean? But I'll use a real life example. Look at Griselda Blanco, bro. You know what I mean? Old lady walking down the street. You know what I mean? Someone's come over and ped and shot her. That was the end of her. That is it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't cool. It wasn't whatever. She went out how she lived. She went out how she did.
No, but you know,
people, essentially.
but remember, in terms of films, like, even when Scarface dies and he drops in the pool, like, he's got the globe in it, and it's like a proper sick shot because remember, it's the world is yours, innit? And as he's in the pool and there's just bare blood and he's thinking, it just said the world is yours. So it's kind of like the world is yours, but at a cost. Like, that is the way it ends.
The world is yours for a time.
It's kind of sick.
Yeah, look,
like,
this is just to summarize. Yeah, Snowfall serves as an exploration of the U.S. crack epidemic. The beginning in South
You
Central.
really like that show, huh?
No, I'm just reading now just to clarify for the listeners. It was a story told from a black perspective as issues plagued black neighborhoods and homes across the country. Franklin Saint built a life whilst peddling cocaine and consequently killing off those around him. He ultimately lost everything because of it. His mum became a prisoner. His father was killed alongside his uncle Jerome, and his aunt Louie was left on the run. Looking at this wreckage, fans consider the meaning behind Franklin's downfall, which begs the question, who wins in this game of eat or be eaten? And then someone answered with, it's not so much that nobody wins, though it's a part of it. I mean, this is also true about life in itself. No one wins, you know. This is really a concentrated experience of life, how these people, having done their absolute best, couldn't think of everything. And in that way, it transcends race.
But even in regards to that as well, Snowfall, I feel like Snowfall hit so many topics. So, for example, family first. The uncle, it wasn't family first. It was his missus that, like, he started to listen to his missus. There's so many things in there. Like, another example, greed. When you can check out, check out. There's a lot of men in the show that didn't check out when he could have checked out. There's so many lessons in Snowfall that it's unbelievable. Even his parents, your mum and dad knew what you were doing, bro. But for the bag, they
that's why mummy accepted
they ignored. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, there's just so many lessons as in, like, because, for example, if the mum had been like, don't do this, I don't agree with this, do you know what, I'm washing my hands of this, they wouldn't have been involved, but there would have been nothing to, do you know what I'm saying? Whereas there's so many levels to it. But anyway, man.
Also, the mum, his missus only checked out because, do you remember the scene where they had They had a confrontation, and he went to strangle her. She's like, what? This is the beginning of... Because he's never put his hands on her before that. But that's how you could see this guy was at the brink of crazy, bro. He's done this, like...
I think this was like with that one, you know what I mean? As Michael put it, you know what I mean? If you look at this situation, when you look at that one, you know what I mean? It's kind of a myopic way of looking at it, essentially. When you look at every one of these films, essentially, it's more or less the same message. I'll use Godfather again. I feel like of all these drug kingpins or whatever, he was probably one of the most put together, and he was affected by the same things. Family first, you know what I mean? He was a family-oriented man, and eventually he lost his family because of the power, the life he lived, you know what I mean? He lost everything he loved. He lost because of, you know what I mean, that life. When he runs off to Sicily and he lives in Sicily for a little bit, the girlfriend he had, the wife he had over there, he lost to this. When he came back, Kay and his kids, you know what I mean? Kay ended up leaving him with the kids, you know what I mean? Because of this life, essentially.
But I swear he was...
That's all right,
oh, you're talking about Godfather. Okay, I'm
that's
talking
all right.
about Scarface.
At least they left, innit?
He was taking drugs, though. Scarface, Tony. Yeah, he started taking drugs.
That's his problem. But again, for him, it's power. He was power drunk. You know what I mean? Even in, you know what I mean, killing his friend. Essentially, you know what I mean?
But the friend, brother, I told you, like my sister, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, again, just, you know what I mean? That's it's just, you know what I mean? The way he was.
He meant well, though.
It's an excess.
Doesn't matter. But the thing is, tell him then.
Yeah, I should have told him.
Speak to Tony and tell Tony.
It's an excess. You know what I mean? Think of.
Do you know what? Speak to Tony and tell him, like, yo, your sister, like, whatever he did. Man found out. Man lost his rag, bro.
You know what I mean? Bro, think about it. Real life movies, you know what I mean? The majority of them end the same way for those people, essentially. So that's why I think, you know what I mean, the endings to movie like Scarface and stuff like that, I think they mirror real life for the most part. You look at El Chapo, you know what I mean? He was in recent times, the biggest, the baddest. Griselda. You look at what's before Escobar. You know what I mean? There was no people bigger than these people in this world, and it all ended the same for every single one of these people.
But my issue is, a lot of these people that get ended, they're not ended because, essentially, for example, like Mexico and Colombia and places there, for example, when they were drug dealing, no one cared. As in terms of Mexico, as in like the sentences they were getting was small, no one cared. It's only when America got involved and were like, you know what, anyone who commits a crime over here, we're extraditing them and they're going to prison in America. That's when the game changed for everyone. When everyone's like, eh?
Well, something's got to change.
Yeah, but
no, I hear that. I'm just saying, for example, but it's just like America got involved. But when you look at it, for example, you're saying, I hear what you're saying in terms of it doesn't end well for people, whatever. But when you break down, for example, the crack epidemic and whatever, like the American government were involved in some of the drugs and the CIA were involved in drugs coming in.
You're talking about something else different, bro.
But that's my point. Is in like, so in terms of the house always wins because remember, if
but that's not one person though.
That's my point. If it's not my house in control, you're not doing it.
I'm not. You know what I mean? What I'm saying, I'm not arguing whether it's right or wrong that it ends that way. I'm just saying the story ends that way.
That's what I'm saying. That there's like the way we're looking at it. I'm not saying you're looking at it, but I'm just saying the way people might look at it is like it always ends this way because
someone cut out though.
That's the right thing to happen. But sometimes it's not a case of that. It's a case of we're stronger than you over here, and you can't be making too much money because that means we're not.
I'm just saying that, just to close, there's a guy called Frank Matthews. If you don't want to go do your Googles and research on him, he was a drug dealer in America and he got out.
Yeah, but
they gave him bail. He did not come back. He went to his stash, grabbed a couple millions, and he disappeared. All now they don't know where he is.
Exception to the rule. But that's my thing. He's not living, you know what I mean, the perfect life, essentially.
I mean, I don't know where he is.
Everything.
You could have been at Fady yesterday. I don't know.
But that's my problem. You know what I mean? Your whole life changes. You do not get to live. You do not get to live the happy ending, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I can think of more stories that end negatively than the ones that end positively.
But that's my point. Is in if sometimes as I think we've said it on the podcast before. There needs to be a number that you say you want to make, and when you make that number, cut out.
It's easier said than done.
Greed kicks in.
It's easier said than done, man.
And that's my point.
Forever moves.
Greed
it kicks in. That's what I'm saying. When these men are going into the room, thinking it's a babes in there, all of a sudden, it's pure.
Get the cheeks up.
It's pure cheek. It's pure man cheeks in that. But the money's tenfold now.
Yo,
Certain man is scratching their head. Like,
Anyways, just to end, because you're a sicko. So you've got a single out.
Yeah.
Let people know where they can find
I
it.
introduce my single off the man. Talk about, you come into a room full of, just buy my gospel out after the man, but no.
Nah, that's all good. My single Cardio is presently out. Cardio simply means running from God don't count as cardio. You can always come back no matter how far you go.
Ooh.
And just literally, I think for me, being a music lover, I feel like Christian music should be as good as anything else you hear on the radio. Especially if you do it for God and you believe God gave you the gifts, it should be on the same level as anyone as good as that. So it's out on all platforms. You can get that stream there. And it's been a brilliant conversation with you guys.
Yeah, man.
And I love what we've touched on. And like for those listening who have been like hurt by the church or whatever, like sorry, innit? Do you know what I mean? And I pray God, do you know what I mean? I pray that God like heals those wounds. Because people are out there, and I think it's humans who spoil it for others. Like, all men are trash. Yeah, it's because quite a lot of men out there were doing trashy stuff.
Or the men that you were
but
linking,
it was still a good portion of men that you've come across that did that. So they kind of spoil it for the others. So that's simply what that means, like God's arms are always wide open for anyone to come back home, man. So give him a chance.
I think that's sick what you said, because I feel like even in terms of work and jobs and that, if I work in tech or I work in, I don't know, if I work in retail, for example, I can go to a JD Sports and the manager there is an arsehole. Am I going to say, retail's, it's not for me, man? No, this is a manager you met in JD that was an arsehole. You go to another JD and they're calm. You might go to another JD and there might be another arsehole. But in your mind, you're smart enough to differentiate and be like, do you know what? That's just that manager. Generally speaking, that's like if you have an argument with someone on the road, you're not going to say all people are argumentative.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, that's that one person I met. So I feel like when it comes to, I think like because of religion and the way people view it, they might see it as like everyone in this place, as Keith says, this house has the same mentality. I can't be bothered. So I feel what you said was key still. I feel like it's important still for people to end on that.
But where can people find you on socials?
Yeah, Insta, Faith Child, Twitter, Faith Child Music. Elon took away the blue tick, so you might find...
brother, when Elon took that, I logged into my Twitter, I just closed it.
I thought it might be a prank. I thought like maybe he can't be that serious. Blue tick's gone now. They don't even know that I'm a legit guy now.
Well, there's politics happening with that blue tick still, so...
Even on Insta now, like, people can buy their blue ticks. Apparently I think there was some mad number. I don't know if you can find it, Taze, but the amount of money Instagram made in the first like month or two.
Selling blue ticks?
Yeah, like apparently like it was mad.
I can't lie to you. You lot have had the blue ticks for some time.
Yeah, but
has it made a difference?
No, but you can check though. As in, if you go on someone's blue tick, if it says March 2023, that's when people bought it.
To be fair, I'm not that invested.
No, I'm just saying, for example, if you
on
want
Twitter
check,
or IG?
On IG. So on IG, if you go on IG...
you can actually check now when
I can go on your page on IG and see when you got your blue tick. I think we got our ones 2019 or 2020. I think March or something like that. I can't remember. It says it on there. Whereas all the new ones, that's why like, I can't remember one of my brothers I was talking to in America was like, listen man, we be watching blue ticks, man. There's bare fake ones out here. I said, what do you mean? He said, brother, if you look on someone's he was saying, if you look on someone's Instagram and it says March...
June 2019.
Yeah, see? If you look on someone's Instagram and you see March 2023, they paid for it. Anything before that, they got it legit.
Some of you lot's blue ticks a little funny in the light.
No. Oh, yeah, I see that now still.
Yeah, I told you can see it now, innit?
Any closing, me closing, 4T stuff. Still available on the website, 4tslondon.com.
Oh, we're verified same month.
Go to Faded Events. I've got events on there. Obviously, R&B, the one this month is sold out, but next month's up. What else am I announcing? Yeah, Saturdays I'm on radio, 4 till 7, BBC One Extra, shout out Cyan.
But man can't come on as a guest in that.
You can still, but you got to come on with a theme. What do you want to talk about?
Cheeks.
Nah,
no? All right.
Not on national radio,
Cheeks.
Bro. No.
Okay. Meeks.
What's that? Meat and cheeks?
I'm just rhyming.
Whoa,
hey,
you said meeks. I thought it was about meat cheeks. I don't know.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, that's
my cheeks.
But relax,
that's
man.
A why, Mike.
But
yeah, that's me, Tazer Black. Love.
Yeah, so the only thing I've got to announce is 90s party at the end of the month. I think it's Friday May the 26th, I think. 90s party, theme party. So there's coming your 90s wear in Camden. We had one already. It was good still.
The video looks sick as well.
Oh, you seen it on Hack's page? Yeah.
It's cold.
So I'm gonna post it on my actual page, and anyway, maybe today or tomorrow. So it was dope still. 360 booth, whatever. We're gonna get some more balloons and some more props in this one, but it was dope still. It was a nice little vibe. Invasion Crew came and shut it down, blood, because they had the bashment from
come on, man.
like 90s to like I told him, listen, that 90s 2000 bashment. Still running bare buzz rhythm, pum 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 and them tune there. Yeah. She not really need a toy friend. She not. I said pull it, man. Wheel it. They could see it as I say wheel it.
That era of bashment was cold.
That's
man.
the best era.
Yeah.
So they'll play with them tunes. So that's what we're gonna do again. So May the 26th, tickets are on Shrubs. Grab a ticket. It's gonna be live. I'll be there. A couple other people.
Also, I know we keep saying it, but continue to
leave comments on
the Spotify. I can see them. But because we haven't had the chance to just record with us three, we haven't had a chance to go through them and just read them out. So, but we see them, we acknowledge them, just keep leaving your comments, and obviously the polls, keep voting. Because some of the polls are hitting like 200, 300 votes. Yeah, so people are actually going and voting.
For some reason, the episode with the one where we spoke about the narratives and whatever, that's got bare comments.
Yeah, we need to dedicate like 20 minutes on like the next episode, maybe just read them all out and then
what I
start
love about
catching
Spotify
up.
And what I learned today, actually, you can't leave a rating on Spotify if you've not listened to a certain number of episodes. So you can't have people come and leave a rating on your podcast.
That's sick.
You know what I mean? Some people want to give you a 1 star, but they've never listened. You know what I mean? I'm okay with you give me a 1 star if you give us 5 views. You know what I mean? Because you have to work for that. You have to put that work in. But I think that's very, very good because some people just come on there. And because of that, we have a 4.9 star rating.
Out of 5.
Out of 5 stars.
And also, when I check the Apple analytics, I think our listeners have gone up on Spotify a little bit. And Apple, they've gone up a little bit as well. No, not a little bit. Like maybe because I've done the shows in America, but our American listenership's gone up like bare.
Shout out the American listeners, though. My DMs are open, you know. Shout out, man.
Listen, man. Shout out me, man. I'm there, bro.
Yeah, I could be there too. You know what I'm saying? He's not dark enough. Shout out me, man. Come on.
Sicko in your head, bro.
Let them know, man.
Let the sun catch me, brother.
You was over there moving timid. Allow it, man. Let me go over there. I'll show you like what time it is. I didn't say all of that. Well, you're there. You're with him.
Nah, I'm bantering. Now, come on. It's banter, man. I'm cutting it out, bro. You're bluffing. I was going to go, boo.
There's a banter.
But,
all right, we're out, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. So